America. Let's see if do you exist today? Yes. Okay.
Yes, y'all! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership in beautiful Carrollton, Texas, it is DCTF Live, an internet show. My name is Greg Tepper. I am the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. I am sitting in one chair. Sitting in another chair in this room is a very well-rested Max Thompson.
How long did you sleep last night? How many hours?
Boy, I went to bed about 9.
Yeah.
I woke up about 9.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Plowed
That's pretty
through
good.
the night.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Okay, that's better than me. I think I was in bed at like 11:30, and I woke up at like 9:45.
9:45.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, for those who
that was the good stuff.
For those who don't know, today is D-Day +1. Today is we sent the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football to print yesterday. Well, we'll get into that in a second. First, let me take care of a little bit of business. Hold on.
There's business?
Today is Thursday, June 2nd, 2016, episode 143. 143. It's Derek Collins' career on base percentage. How about that? Woo! Not great, but that's because he's a pitcher. A little bit later, we're going to be joined by Mike Craven, senior writer for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com.
Overall life yogi.
We're going to talk to him about all things football in the Lone Star State, including the Baylor scandal, the title game's moving back to AT&T Stadium, see if he's got any sleepers for Texas high school football in the upcoming year. Talk to him in a bit. And, of course, we will be joined by we'll be joined in a moment by, or we will be talking to about the Baylor fallout.
Because there won't be a day this summer.
Because, hey,
yeah.
Look, if you're tired of us talking about Baylor, imagine how tired we are of talking about it, okay? The beauty of our job is because we cover so many different teams.
Yeah.
We can just kind of hit everyone, be like, all right, we never get tired of any one team. I am officially tired of talking about Baylor.
Yeah.
But there's new stuff every day, and it's new big stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not like any of it's good. You know, that's the flip side of it.
No.
Like, it'd be one thing if, we had a team in Texas rise to be a national power a la Alabama, and so we had no choice but to talk about just how incredible they were.
Sure.
You get tired of it, but it's like, hey, it's a good problem to have. This is the worst. It is the opposite.
So we'll be talking about the latest in that neck of the woods here in just a moment. So we did send the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football to press yesterday. I can tell you, I believe I mentioned this yesterday. Overall, I thought the process of doing this particular magazine was fine. I think it was a little better than average. But the last week was horrifying. It was the worst last week we've ever had, just because of all the things we had to change because of what's going on down in Waco. But I will say that yesterday, D-Day, as far as deadline days are concerned, Max, I know this was your first magazine, so you don't really have a frame of reference.
No.
It was pretty steady as she goes. Pretty smooth. We had to change it.
I feel like my limited experience, though, knowing you before I was here, your last days, like your press day, it's not generally a huge, like, pit of vipers.
I will tell you that last year it was. Last year it was a total pit of vipers. We were flying by the seat of our pants, changing errors that we were finding at the last minute. We didn't find many. We found like one or two. None of them particularly. You found one kind of egregious one, but that was a pretty easy fix.
It wasn't really our thing.
And
though.
if it
was an ad.
Yeah, and if it had gotten in, I think people would have understood.
I think our advertiser would have been a little irritated.
But but overall, I mean, we didn't find too many big time mistakes, which is both comforting and terrifying.
Yeah, because you're like, what did we miss?
Right.
What was in there that I didn't see?
And one of the funny things about this last day is that, like, we are the only two people in the world who have read this magazine cover to cover. Every word in this magazine we've read. That doesn't guarantee that it's perfect. That doesn't guarantee that there's not mistakes. But we have read this whole 400-page behemoth.
Yeah.
Not this one. This is last year's.
This is different.
But what's funny is that you start to question your own, like... I'll give you an example. So I was proofreading the Austin Westlake preview.
Oh,
okay?
yeah. No, I know where you're going with this.
Austin Westlake preview. And all of a sudden, and I have typed Sam Ellinger's name.
This is it. Yeah.
100 times.
A million times.
Million times.
Yeah.
No problem.
You know how it's spelled.
I know how it's spelled.
Never looks right.
At that moment, I was like, okay, I had to Google it, and sure
never
enough,
looks right.
and then you do the thing where you like match up letter. You go E.
Never looks
H,
right.
L. No, it never does. So that was that. You start to question your own like things you know to be true. I could show you yesterday. I could have shown you your own name.
Yeah.
And you would have been like, "There's something wrong there." Is that an H?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Have I always spelled it with a P?
Yeah, that's weird. I don't remember writing a P.
Boy, it doesn't look right looking at it now for the 700th time.
So. We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. We have a website. We will not have a show. We will not have a live show tomorrow, but we will have hashtag content for you. So we will have we are recording a show right after this because I'm going to take the day off tomorrow because I've earned it. So we will have content for you tomorrow. Hashtag content. Okay. We got to continue on with the story that everybody loves to talk about. We all love to talk about.
Can I just, before we even get going, I've just decided that I'm permanently going to make the headline Fallout continues at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just making a bunch of new topic bars. It's just always Fallout continues at Baylor.
So there's two things that are really, really, really amazing that happened today. And I don't know which one to start with, so I'm going to start. I'll start with Art Briles speaking. So Art Briles put out a statement, and I will read the statement in full. This is Art Briles' first statement since being fired. Well, I don't know if he's actually been fired. I know that he's suspended with intent to terminate.
Yeah, I don't know if it's official yet.
I don't know.
Although they have a new head coach.
Yeah,
so.
Ooh, that's awkward.
Yeah.
Anyway, Baylor Nation, first and foremost, coach. I don't have to call you coach anymore. First and foremost, we got to stop with every fan base referring to themselves as the nation. You're not a nation. Okay, we've got to stop with that. We've got to knock it off.
My particular pet peeve in this situation is, as much as I love you all, high schools.
Oh, my God.
Under no circumstances are you blank nation.
Guys, Cameron Yo, I love you to death. You're not Yo Nation.
There's no Yo Nation.
Knock it off.
All right. There's a lot of you, and it's impressive. You are not a nation.
Continuing with our proud statement. Baylor Nation. My heart goes out to the victims for the pain they have endured. Sexual assault has no place on our campus and in society. As a father of two daughters, a grandfather, and a husband, my prayers are with the victims of this type of abuse wherever they are. After 38 years of coaching, I've certainly made mistakes, and in hindsight, I would have done certain things differently. I always strive to be a better coach, a better father and husband, and a better person. Keep in mind that this is where it gets really interesting. Keep in mind that
he's doing good so far. Though.
Yeah, so far, great way to start.
It's more than a lot of people at Baylor have done.
Keep in mind, the complete scope of what happened here has not been disclosed, and unfortunately, at this time, I am contractually obligated to remain silent on the matter, he said in a statement. The report prepared by Tepper Hamilton, the law firm hired and paid for by Baylor's Board of Regents, has not been shared with me directly, despite my full cooperation with the investigation. I can only assume that the report, which is not independent, supports the conclusions that the board has already drawn. I hope to share with you what I was aware of as soon as I can, so Baylor Nation can begin the healing process. The utmost admiration for Baylor University, its community, and its important mission. I'm truly grateful for having the chance to coach hundreds of young student athletes at this university. I am deeply humbled for having this opportunity to become part of Baylor Nation. Coach Art Briles. There's a couple of things here. First and foremost, there is an implication here. I don't know if this is the line you drew. There's an implication here that the Board of Regents wanted Art Briles out. And this notion here that he says this in very specific terms. The report prepared by Pepper Hamilton, the law firm hired and paid for by Baylor's Board of Regents, blah, 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 blah. I can only assume that the report, which is not independent, supports the conclusions that the board has already drawn. So Art Briles' play here is to say the board was out to get me.
Yeah.
The Board of Regents was out to get me, and I am the fall guy for something that they wanted to have happen. So, two things on this part. One, your only way out of this, Art, is to completely and totally deny the entire Pepper Hamilton report. You have to say that nothing in it is true. Because you are the CEO of the football program, and everything ultimately comes up to you. I am the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I am responsible, good, bad, or indifferent, for everything that goes into that magazine. If there was some anti-Semitic language that got into the magazine, I'm responsible for it. Whether I wrote it or not, I'm responsible for it. Same thing goes with you, Art. If something happened at Baylor, in the Baylor football program, under you, that's on you, plain and simple. There's that. So your only play here is to deny the entire thing, which I don't know if that's necessarily the way to go here. Secondly, this notion that he seems to imply that the board was out to get him is so asinine. I can't even begin to comprehend it. It is. So you are telling me that the Board of Regents, the people who basically run Baylor University, who are the oversight committee basically for the entire university, you are telling me that the best thing that's ever happened to them, the best thing that's ever happened to the university, they want to run out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Why's that, Art? You're their ATM. You print them money. Why would the Board of Regents want Art Briles out? This is, in my opinion, the ravings of a man who is trying desperately to salvage some sort of credibility. And it's not working. I don't buy it. This notion that everything in the Pepper Hamilton report is wrong and that he is just a fall guy because the Board of Regents wanted him out, don't buy it. Now, maybe there will be a bunch more evidence that makes this and what I'm saying right now sound crazy. But based on what we know right now, this is a statement, that middle paragraph there.
Well, you just misinterpreted it, Greg.
Oh, I'm sure.
You just misinterpreted it.
I'm sure.
That's not what he meant at all.
I'm simply saying that this does
The choice of language was purely coincidental.
This does not hold water with me. So, Art Briles has broken his silence. Hey, are you a college football program?
Yes.
Are you looking for a top-tier blue-chip wide receiver? Well,
yes.
Boy, do I have one for you.
Maybe the best one of the bunch.
So, one of the top prospects, one of the top signees, we thought,
yes,
in the 2016 Baylor class was Saxy wide receiver Devin DuVernay. And Devin DuVernay is awesome.
He's pretty good.
He's a super good wide receiver.
Really fast.
He is the kind of guy that, with Corey Coleman leaving, you are like, don't you worry about him. That guy's got next.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, that guy's going to be a key part.
We got him, and we got Trendavian Dixon as fallback.
Yes.
We got some options.
We're going to be
fine.
So here's a funny thing about national letters of intent. When, let's say Max Thompson wants to sign with Tepper University. Congratulations, Max.
Very excited to sign with Tepper University.
Okay. So it's February 5th or whatever it is, and you sign your letter of intent, and
we're done.
You fax it on to me, right?
Yeah, we're good.
So when I get your letter of intent, I can't just hold on to it.
Nope.
I have to file it with the conference.
Yeah.
I have to submit that to the Big 12 offices in the case of Baylor.
So once I sign, that's not the end.
That's the end of your. That's all
that's the
you
end of
can
my
do.
part.
That's the end of your part. Now it's on me as Tepper
and
University.
Surely you won't screw that up because you're very excited to have me at Tepper University.
I'm very excited to have you at Tepper University. So here's the funny thing about what happened with Baylor. They didn't file Devin DuVernay's national letter of intent.
So have you
seen? It's only valid for 14 days.
Yeah, and have you seen what they are saying is the explanation? Because it just can't. I think Brian Davis of the Statesman just released it. He says his understanding is that they may have accidentally sent Donovan DuVernay, his brothers,
who is also a very good player who signed with Baylor
twice.
Oh my God. Okay, I want to stop for a moment. I want you to imagine a situation where none of what happened in the last week with Art Briles and the Pepper Hamilton report happened. Okay,
right.
None of that happened.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Could you imagine
if everything was cool at Baylor? They was just bopping along. Everything's fine. They're getting ready for the 2016 season.
To be fair, there'd probably be a lot of like, oh, we still want this to happen. He still wants this to happen. We'll just try to make this.
Possibly.
It's probably all fine.
Possibly.
But now, quite a free agent on the market.
Devin DuVernay is free to sign with whoever he wants. He has by the letter of the law not signed a national letter of intent. So he is available. Like ESPN has him rated as the number 3 wide receiver in the nation.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
It is staggering that this happened. Staggering. So Devin DuVernay will almost he could sign with Baylor, but he will almost certainly not be a Baylor Bear. And the reason I say he almost certainly will not be a Baylor Bear is because 7 other players in Baylor's 2016 class have formally requested that they be released from their letter of intent. Patrick Hudson, from the offensive lineman from Silsbee, we talked about him yesterday. J.P. Urquidez is the offensive lineman from Copper's Cove, and his dad has been all over social media talking about how Baylor's not talking to him. Jared Atkinson, Cameron Martin, the big-time running back from Port Arthur Memorial, Parrish Cobb, who, of course, was the big late steal from Oklahoma.
They really tried to convince him, but it doesn't sound like it's working.
And then Donovan DuVernay, the brother. They've all requested release from letters of intent.
And we can get into this with Mike when we call him in a second. It's almost like there are too many.
Yeah.
Like, how many open spots do other programs have from their classes, right? I mean, most of them try to oversign at this point.
Now,
like, that's the strategy these days.
I think you're right, and these kids are kind of left in a lurch because there may not be position.
I mean, they'll find good homes.
Now,
don't get me wrong.
Now, they may have to, like, gray shirt or something like that. They may have to do something kind of weird and kind of get in. But you're talking about Patrick Hudson's a stud. J.P. Urquidez is a stud. Jared Atkinson's a stud. Cameron Martin's a stud. Parrish Cobb's a stud. Donovan DuVernay's a stud. I mean, these are all big-time prospects who now want to be released. Now, Baylor is saying they want them to talk to Coach Jim Grobe, before they let him go. And honestly, I think that you owe them that much. If you signed with Baylor, you didn't sign with Art Briles. You signed with Baylor.
Yeah.
You
Please
owe it
to
go talk to the new coach and figure out if this is the right fit for you.
Right.
Now, let's say that Parrish Cobb goes and talks, and apparently he has, and he doesn't want to go.
Still doesn't care. Yeah.
Baylor can say, no, we're not releasing you from the national letter of intent. Baylor, let me look directly in the camera and talk to you for a second. You have made, in the past month, year, a slew of bad decisions. It has been, you guys have got this really impressive streak of bad decisions going on right now. Break this streak. If these kids want out of their national letters of intent, let them out. There is no possible upside to keeping them there, because at that point you're just holding them hostage, right?
Yeah.
At that point, if J.P. Urquidez wants out of his national letter of intent, and you won't let him out of his national letter of intent, you're holding him hostage.
Not great, Bob.
So that's the latest on the Baylor front. I'm sure we'll have more. We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. All right, Max, we are now happy to be joined by a senior writer for Texas Football.
Is he award-winning? Can we call him award-winning?
Has he
we'll
won?
have to ask him.
I've won an award before.
What award was it, Mike Craven?
I won a TPA headline award.
Whoa!
See, award-winning DCTF senior writer.
DCTF Live senior writer.
Would
Mike
you like
Craven.
to hear the headline?
I would.
Why the why?
Why the why?
Was it about the YMCA?
It was the worst headline I had ever written.
Go me.
It was the worst headline ever written, and it won an award. So that
I'm glad. You know, I did not know that. I am a. Here you go. If I may brag for a moment, I am a UIL Region 1 headline writing champion.
Wow.
2004. That is 100% true and verifiable. So I'm glad to have another headline aficionado here.
Sure.
It's Mike Craven, if you couldn't tell through that mess of an intro. Senior writer for TexasFootball.com. All right, Mike. A ton to talk to you about. We're going to start with in the high school ranks. The title games, the Texas High School football title games, back at AT&T Stadium. Boy, the UIL knows how to pick their spots with a press conference. It came down literally at the same time that Art Browse was fired. Your thoughts on the title games moving back to AT&T Stadium?
It's probably the right move from a financial standpoint and just for the good of the game. You know, the more people at these events and at these Texas high school football games, the better. There's definitely the same atmosphere was not there at NRG that was at AT&T the last couple of years. Some of that may be the programs that were there. Some of that's location. I think ideally you would like a rotation between Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, or Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. But Dallas, if you have to choose one, Dallas is going to bring in the most fans, the most numbers. And for that reason alone, I think it's a smart move by the UIL.
Yeah, and I just think you saw it, whether you want to take it from a financial standpoint or you just want to take it from a head count standpoint. You know, attendance was way down in Houston. There's a variety of different reasons to that. I don't think it's just because it was in Houston, but it was down last year. And so, yeah, I think when you have an opportunity to play in what is ultimately the premier football kind of mecca in the state and in the nation, I think you got to take that opportunity. That's kind of where I am on it. All right, so you have been hard at work on the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Your byline's all over this darn magazine, which will come out in late June, by the way. That wasn't necessarily for you, Mike, but rather for the listeners.
Mike needs to know too.
Through kind of what you've done for and around the magazine, are there any high school teams around the state that you're especially excited about?
I think it's more excited about storylines that will emerge because of the new districts and the new regions. Katie's kind of been able to roll through their half of the bracket, you know, for the last few years. Having Lake Travis and Westlake move over to Region 4 not only adds a state semifinal game that's capable of being as good as the state championship game, but it also raises the level from Converse Judson and Cibolo Steel. So now Region 4 at the 6A level becomes very interesting to where it was kind of an afterthought years previous. The same thing in Region 3 and 5A. With Cedar Park moving over there, Crosby, Temple, a lot of just, you know, schools that are always really talented. That region becomes really good. And on the flip side, Region 4 and 5A takes a drop without those LISD schools. Stuff like Canadian, if they can move up and have the same sustained success. If Fremont can finish this off with Rashad Paul. So just different storylines like that around the state, I think, are already starting to materialize before the season even begins.
We're talking with Mike Craven, DCTF senior writer here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation and hashtag DCTF Live. All right, Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to kind of shift over to college football here for a second. And obviously a lot going on in the world of college football, but I want to take it back to the field for a moment. If you could only attend one college football game in 2016 in the state of Texas, which one would it be?
Until 2 weeks ago, it was probably TCU and Baylor.
Yeah. That's probably true.
Now, you know, TCU Texas, I think, will be a good barometer to see where Charlie Strong has this program. This seems to be kind of a make or break year to a lot of people for Texas. So after seeing them get drummed last year against TCU, I think it shows kind of where they are in the state. And then that Texas OU game as well, after, you know, OU is going to end the season as a Big 12 favorite, got upset by Texas last year. That's a rivalry game. So, yeah, you know, I think Baylor was going to enter the season as the first or second best team in the state. Them no longer kind of being in the football picture. You know, there's just so many other things to talk about with Baylor other than football. It seems kind of wrong to talk about football with Baylor sometimes right now. But that really throws a wrench in the state and the hierarchy and things of that nature. And for me, it may end up being a Houston game. I think Houston has a chance to make a mark as big as anybody in this state, and they get a chance to prove it pretty early with the game
Please
against
beat
Oklahoma. So,
Please
so
beat
yeah,
Oklahoma.
right, exactly. So that may be the game for me that I'd like to go see. I think Houston can do a lot of really good things this year.
Yeah, I think that's the one that has my eye, just because for Houston, that game against Oklahoma right out of the gate at Energy Stadium, right out of the gate, if they lose to Oklahoma, then they're kind of in the same place that every non-Power 5 team is, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're just kind of back in the middle, and they would need something crazy to happen for them to make the college football playoff. So there's really no downside for them. But if they win, then all of a sudden they're not just in the mix for a college football playoff spot. You could talk about how they are in a really, really, really good position that if they run the table, they're in. So Houston, and I think Houston and Oklahoma would be my pick. All right, so we would be remiss if we did not talk about the biggest story in the state. We're so tired of talking about it, so we'll let you talk about it for a minute. The Baylor situation. A ton coming out today. Devin DuVernay is apparently a free agent, which is amazing. Art Prowse has put out a rather cryptic statement. Overall, we haven't talked to you since all the news broke, but what are your thoughts on the Baylor situation? Where do the Bears go from here?
I mean, the first thing they need to do is stop digging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You always need to be on the right side of history. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't even know if you want to be on that side, you just need to see where it's going and jump on board at this point if you're Baylor. As good, you need as much good press as possible, and holding these kids, like you said, holding them hostage is the perfect way to describe it. These are guys that haven't even stepped foot on campus yet for the most part. They haven't gone to a practice. They haven't gone to a class. This idea that they need to be bound by this letter that was signed is insane to me, when the college can get out of contracts and fire people and do things below board, all that kind of stuff. But then you want these kids to have to go letter by letter through the rule. It's not right. And at some point, somebody at Baylor has to recognize that we need to do something that's going to get some positive publicity, something that makes people believe that it's not just about football and wins and bottom lines, because that's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, and they've
do this makes that even worse.
Yeah, and the thing that I've made the point of is that it seems like Baylor's made about 50 bad decisions in a row. If they could just make this one good decision, I think that would start to stem the tide and start to turn maybe the public perception of them back in their favor.
All you have to announce is anybody who wants to be a Baylor football player and make this program right again can stay. Mm-hmm. Anybody who would like to have a fresh start other places, we don't blame them. They can go do that. I mean, it's really simple. Mm-hmm. A lot of this stuff that happens in college athletics, we make into these huge ordeals when it really just comes down to basic humanity. Mm-hmm. A college student should be able to transfer when they want to. And if you're a parent and you feel like Baylor University isn't the place you want your son to be right now as a football player, that makes absolute sense. And for the university to stand in the way of that is just one more way to show everybody else that you don't get it. Yep. And they have to get it at some point.
He is Mike Craven. He is a DCTF senior writer. You can follow him on Twitter at Craven Mike. Mike, appreciate your time, and we'll do this again soon.
Of course, gentlemen, y'all have a good one, and congratulations on getting that magazine out. I know that's
you too,
that's
buddy.
A lot of stuff.
Thank you. I slept real good last night. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, later.
There goes Mike Craven, DCTF senior writer. Stop digging. That's a very honestly, man. If Baylor needs a slogan right now, right? It should just be like they should do.
Stop digging.
They should
T-shirts.
do like a commercial where it's like these big. Whoa! I just knocked my microphone over.
That's okay.
They do like these big pristine shots of the campus and like do a flyover, show like generic like students talking to each other, ha 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 ha, stuff like that, and it just says Baylor University. Stop digging. That's what they need to do.
Hashtag stop digging.
Thank you for spending part of your day with us. We will be back tomorrow, although not live. It'll be taped, but we will have hashtag content for you. So
you'll all be okay with it.
Thank you for spending part of your day with us, either watching live at texasfootball.com or subscribing to us subscribing to the podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. And we will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.